Well, it's now 4:30, so we'll go ahead and get the public meeting for the draft 2026 through 2029 Transportation Improvement Program started. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Stewart, the Principal Transportation Planner here at Spokane Regional Transportation Council, and I manage the Transportation Improvement Program, or I'll call it the TIP, moving forward. We are hosting this public meeting in person here at the SRTC Riverside Room, Paulson Center, and also on Zoom. We are recording the public meeting and it will be available on our website afterwards. Just a real quick overview of the agenda for today's meeting. I'll start off by giving an introduction to the TIP. I'll go over a high-level overview of the document and the process for getting it approved and implemented. After that, then we'll share some information from our member agencies, starting with the City of Spokane Valley, then Spokane Transit, Spokane County, City of Spokane, and WSDOT. After that, we'll have some time for some final comments and wrap up. So feel free to use the raise hand feature or the chat function in Zoom if you have any questions or comments. So I'll go ahead and start with an overview of the TIP. What is the TIP? The TIP is a program of projects and programs over the next 4 years. All federally funded projects and projects that are determined to be regionally significant are included in the TIP. The TIP must demonstrate that it's fiscally constrained, essentially that there is reasonably available revenue to pay for all the expenditures listed in the TIP. And it is required to be developed at least every 4 years under federal legislation, every 2 years under state. SRTC chooses to update it annually for various reasons, to reflect the changing funding climate at the federal level, to incorporate projects from a recent call for projects, and other reasons. The TIP is amended almost every month throughout the calendar year, and it is kept up to date, and again, a fresh new TIP is developed annually. SRTC must demonstrate that there's consistency between the TIP and what's called the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP, and the Regional Transportation Plan, which is currently Horizon 2045. There's several different ways that we make that determination of consistency. We compare the projects that are submitted in the TIP to other regional processes, such as the congestion management process and the complete streets checklist. We also have to ensure that the projects and programs in the TIP help the region toward achieving performance management targets. What that means is that we must monitor the condition of our infrastructure and our services in the region and ensure that that we set targets through the regional SRTC's board, and that again the projects and programs help us move the needle towards achieving those targets. Pavement condition, bridge condition, safety targets, public transportation targets are some of those performance management targets here. And a really important component of the TIP is making it available for the general public to review and comment upon. So this TIP public meeting is part of that process. I'll describe that process a little bit more here in just a little bit. So what's contained within this draft of 2026 through 2029 TIP? Well, there's 73 projects and programs within this draft of the TIP. 14 of those are new projects and programs. There's approximately $884 million in funding program. While we are demonstrating based on forecasted allocations of the different funding types that there's $928 million in revenue available. So we have demonstrated that there is enough funding reasonably available funding to pay for the projects and programs within. So again, it's fiscally constrained program. This table illustrates some of the types of projects that are contained within the TIP. Active transportation refers to projects that are oriented towards non-motorized trips, such as biking, walking, and rolling. We have several bridge projects listed within here. There may be many other local bridge projects, but we have 5 that are federally funded or regionally significant bridge projects. Transit has a significant portion of projects within the 26 through 29 TIP, including high performance transit development and planning work. There is a planning category, so that reflects some of the regional planning work that SRTC undertakes. And a large portion of this TIP is towards preservation projects taking care of our existing infrastructure, preserving them, and extending the lifespan of those. And this is reflective of call for projects that SRTC held earlier this year, where the SRTC board chose to set aside some of the funding from that call for projects solely to preservation projects. So there's quite a few listed in this TIP. We do have one rail highway crossing project, several reconstruction projects. So those are more extensive projects than a preservation project. One new roadway capital project that is not the North Spokane corridor. And as you can see, the bulk of the program funds are oriented towards the completion of the North Spokane corridor and its connection with Interstate 90. We have a few safety and security projects. I mentioned several transit projects, including preservation and preventive maintenance of their fleet, and other capital upgrades. And then there's 2 terms here at the bottom, 2 acronyms that I'll explain. First one, TDM, is Transportation Demand Management. And so that is strategies to help reduce single occupancy vehicle trips and lessen congestion on our roadways. That's particularly oriented towards our street trip reduction program, Spokane County's Commute Smart program. So that's listed in here. And then the last one, TSMO, stands for Transportation System Management and Operations. Those are projects that are oriented towards informing the traveling public, providing technological solutions to lessen congestion and improve safety on our roadways. So again, 73 total projects as of right now, this draft of this TIP. That can change before the final TIP is approved by the board. We do have some amendments that are pending for this calendar year. There may be some projects that wrap up before the end and won't be carried over. And we have some new projects that are pending as well. Some of those were awarded funds through SRTC's call for projects. There's one column on to the right on this table that shows this breakout percentage-wise of those different project types with and without the NSC. Again, you can see that with NSC, it takes up about 64% of the total program funds. And if you take that out of the mix, you can see where some of the other funding is allocated. We've developed several ways of getting information out to the public, and one of them is through an interactive online map that is linked in the information that's been sent out to the public and to our member agencies, and is available on our TIP webpage. This is a map where you can zoom in and click on a project to get more information, such as the year of construction, or if it's a planning or a design only type right away type project, you can get that information as well. The year of implementation or construction, and then again, who the sponsoring agency is, the responsible agency, and a project description is available. So a really good tool for getting that information out. I mentioned public involvement being a critical aspect of the development of our tip and all year round. We are in the midst of a public comment period for this draft 26 through 29 tip. That runs through October 2nd. Obviously, we're here today hosting our public meeting in a hybrid format. All public comments that are received throughout the entire process are provided to our committees and to our board before any action is taken on approving the 26 through 29 tip. Remaining steps after our public meeting this evening is we'll be going to our committees, the Transportation Advisory Committee and Transportation Technical Committee tomorrow, seeking a recommendation from those committees to the board for approval of this new tip. The board at their October 9th meeting will consider that recommendation, and once approved by the SRTC board, the tip is submitted to Washington State Department of Transportation for inclusion in the statewide transportation improvement program. Once that is incorporated and all the federal approvals are in place, the new 26 to 29 tip will be in effect in January of 2026. So I don't see any questions at this point in time, so I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And again, we'll go ahead and move on to the city of Spokane Valley. Jeremy, you have some information to share on the Valley's projects.
All right. All right, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, so thanks, Ryan. My name is Jeremy Clark. I'm the traffic engineer with City of Spokane Valley, sharing our projects for the 26-29 tip. Go over a brief overview of all the projects we're talking about. So a couple of projects that are already completed and wrapping up or completely funded, with Barker and Pines grade separation projects, our other priority projects at Argonne, Sullivan, Barker, and also our ongoing focus on street preservation and maintenance. So the completed or already funded projects, we have the Barker Road grade separation project. This one was built a couple of years ago and closed out, I believe, last year. The first of the City of Spokane Valley's Bridging the Valley projects that we've completed since incorporating. The next one, Pines Road grade separation, is one that's fully funded. That one began construction last week officially. The railroad had started construction a little bit while before and doing the second track and some of the excavation. As a reminder to those listening, that Pines Road will be closed Sunday all day and half day Monday while the railroad builds their first bridge. So that's a project that's ongoing right now. It'll be done in a year or two, depending on how next construction season goes and how much they get done this winter. Projects that are coming up, so for priorities for the city on our federal agenda as well, Sullivan and Trent interchange. So this is an existing grade separation of the railroad and Trent Avenue that's failing, and that was exacerbated by the connection of Bigelow Gulch. Great connection, but the 2-lane or 4-lane bridge, 2 in each direction over Trent, just can't handle those volumes. So working with the consultant right now to get the preferred alternative. This is one of the alternatives that was originally selected. Right now we're evaluating a second one that might have some benefits that will go with. So that one is projected to cost about $46 million by current estimates. Another priority is the Argonne Road Bridge. So this is one that is a choke point along Argonne Road. So that's a regionally significant roadway. It comes in 3 lanes north of the interchange, 3 lanes south of the interchange, and 2 lanes over the interstate. So that is a planned replacement of the bridge to add a 3rd lane. Ongoing right now, just started 30% design on that piece. And it's also connecting to the south to STA's new park and ride facility, which I believe that date might have pushed out to 27 or 28. Barker Road is and will continue to be a priority for the city, just based on where the available land is for development, how much it goes in each direction, both Spokane Valley and Liberty Lake and the county. And so one of the priorities is the I-90 interchange. So these roundabouts were installed a few years ago as a temporary measure to ease congestion but the 2-lane bridge in the middle is needing replaced. And so that has implications on both the bridge and the interstate. So that is a high priority for the city, is moving that forward as we're able to get the full interchange replaced. And that includes both of the interchange ramps, potential realignment of adjacent roadways, and then replacement of that bridge at a higher grade to avoid having to lower the interstate. Elsewhere along Barker, we have the whole corridor. So from Mission to the South City limits, it just continues to see growth. And so we have separate projects that are identified. One of them is starting this year or just is out to bid, I believe, or is about to be out to bid. And that is the Barker from Appleway to Sprague segment. And that transitions from 5 lanes to 3 lanes. We also have the Appleway to I-90 segment, the Mission to I-90 segment, and then the segment between Sprague and 8th, which includes 2 segments of roadway and 2 roundabouts, one down at 8th Avenue and one at 4th Avenue. In addition to this, the intersection at Appleway and Barker is planned to be rebuilt, most likely as a multi-lane roundabout to more adequately ease congestion and provide connectivity and capacity to that undeveloped areas to the east and south. And something that continues to be a priority for the city is arterial preservation and maintenance. We have a graph here that shows how much of our streets are arterials versus local access streets and how those rate with their pavement condition index. So the city is every year prioritizing which segments of road we need to be maintained the most, trying to focus on getting at least some of the local streets improved and get those pavement condition indices improved as we go through that process. But again, funds are constrained as we go through those on the city side. But for our arterial streets, always trying to continue that effort and keep those in good condition. So I believe that is it for our list of projects. Happy to have your discussion or answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeremy. I don't see any hands raised or anything in the chat this time. So if we do receive some questions or comments later, Jeremy, I'll definitely follow up with you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
So we can go ahead and move on to Spokane Transit, and Nick, you have some information to share with the public.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. As mentioned, we've got a kind of a slate of projects in the TIP, the majority of which are focused on preventative maintenance and fixed route bus purchases. We also have a project in there for Section 5310, which is an FTA grant program that provides funding to organizations to address transportation gaps and enhance mobility for seniors and folks with disabilities in the region. And the 2 projects that we have highlighted in there, the first is Division BRT, which hopefully everyone's heard about at this point, and then Argonne Station Park Ride. So Division, we're in the project development phase, looking for construction starting around 2028. And then Argonne Station, we are in the design phase with that as well, moving towards getting that under construction in 2027. So we wanted to do kind of a deep dive into that project. That is the most near-term thing that we will be working on. So, yeah, my name is Nick. I'm a capital project manager in our planning and development group. So background on Argonne Station, part of our I-90 Valley High Performance Transit Corridor as envisioned by STA moving forward, which was our 10-year strategic plan, which is sunsetting at this point, was approved by voters in 2016. This map here just kind of shows the corridor made up of a few routes and facilities. But as part of our planning effort, we studied the corridor and performed an analysis of existing facilities and multiple routing scenarios. The Argonne area and a connection there at Argonne showed promise for a ridership response, and that was identified as a preferred location via public and stakeholder outreach for a new facility. In October 2022, our board approved the corridor development plan, which included the Argonne Station Park and Ride And then the legislature approved a regional mobility grant in 2023. And then we executed a financing agreement for that grant in December of 2023 and started design in early 2024. So purpose and need of this project, the big one is advances transportation equity by improving access on the region's busiest corridor. And in so doing, we're supporting efforts to increase effective capacity of I-90 as population continues to grow, helps us improve mobility in Spokane Valley and Millwood. As Jeremy talked about, we'll be integrating with future Argonne Road overpass and associated improvements. This also provides a direct connection to the airport in Liberty Lake via our new Route 7, which just went into service, and then enables further network improvements in the valley and provides better connectivity to and from existing transit centers and a connection to the city line. So location here just south of the I-90 Argonne Mullen interchange, north of Mission Road or Mission Avenue. Stakeholders, WSDOT, City of Spokane Valley, City of Millwood, FHWA. And then this is our preliminary design that was wrapped up in June of this year. So we are building a transit station with a park and ride. We'll have 4 bus bays, 3 in an interior loop configuration, and then we'll have a flyer stop on that frontage road coming off the freeway. At this point, we have 40 parking stalls. We'll have transit priority lane at the eastbound on-ramp. We'll include operator support facilities, maintenance facilities, electric vehicle charging. We're future-proofing for battery electric bus charging. We'll have bike lockers and other pedestrian and bike improvements, and then passenger information in the way of digital signage, real-time signage, and things of that nature. So in the image here, this is a little hard to see, but this is Mission Avenue here. This is a private parcel. Folks are familiar with the areas, the Casa de Oro Mexican restaurant. Freeway here is just to the north. And this is the off-ramp and the eastbound on-ramp. And here are some graphical representations of what the facility will look like at this point. Passenger waiting areas in the form of our standard bus stop shelters. This is our maintenance and facility and operator break room and building. A bit of a breezeway there for some customer information. Touch of landscaping, and then the park and ride there to the south. So our funding program, so 1.2 million of CMAQ funds, the regional mobility grant that I talked about, $10.4 million, and then local funds in the amount of $1.4 million for a total project budget of $13 million. And our current estimate is just around $10 million based on the 30% design. Public outreach summary. We've had a couple open houses related to the planning efforts for the project, and then a 30% design open house that we completed in June. We plan for a couple more events once we get close to final design, and then just before construction, hopefully in fall 2026. Schedule. So at this point, we are starting our 60% design. We should be wrapping up our environmental here in the next month, along with the traffic impact analysis. And then again, targeting advertising a contract in late 2026 and starting construction in early 2027 with the plan to be operationally complete by the end of 2027. Any questions about Argonne Station?
I'm not seeing any currently, Nick.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Appreciate the information. So the information, and again, as I mentioned, any comments received either later in this meeting or before the end of the comment period, we'll make sure and forward those to you. Next, we'll have Jamie Hayes from Spokane County present information on county projects in the VTIP.
Hey everybody, let me get my computer all set up. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Jamie Hayes and I am a transportation planner with Spokane County with the title of Senior Project Manager. And I'm here to talk about the Appleway Wellesley Avenue Extension Roundabout and the 2026 tip. Oh. Let's see. This project will construct a single lane roundabout at the intersection of Wellesley Avenue Extension, Appleway Avenue, and at the Washington-Idaho state line. You can see here's the design that we've created for this project. This will be a shared use path, a separated pathway, but I'll kind of get into that a little bit later. I wanted to provide you some context for this project. So this is the existing conditions. This is what you're going to find if you were to drive out there right now. Everything to my right is in Idaho, and obviously everything to the left is in Washington State and Spokane County. Both Wellesley Avenue and Appleway are arterials with exceeding 11,000 daily traffic trips every day, with Appleway inching close to 16,000 traffic trips every day. I pulled our last 5-year crash data for the project. So this is new crash data, not what we applied for. And you can see that there were 9 injury accidents and 13 property damage or PDO incidents here. We collaborated with the Post Falls Highway Department on this, and their crash data, I don't have current crash data, but their crash data was also pretty high. I believe it was 7 or 8 PDO accidents and a few injury accidents. So you can see that we're inching close to 20 property damage accidents in the general area and double-digit injury accidents here. So once we found this out, we decided that we needed to do something about it. So we applied for county safety program funding through WSDOT, but this is a federally funded project through HSIP, which is a Highway Safety Improvement Program. The Post Falls Highway District contributed 10% to the project. We were awarded almost $1.3 million, and then we provided the remaining funded needing to get this project going. The project total is just about $1.7 million altogether. We should be wrapping up the design soon this year, acquiring any right-of-way needed by late winter, early spring, and starting construction in spring of 2026. And this project should be open to the public in about a year from now. So some of the project highlights for this roundabout is, this is a really fast growing area. If anyone's familiar with what Kootenai County has done, our neighboring county in Idaho, over the last 10 years, they've seen some really unprecedented growth, which means that there's going to be a lot of people traveling back and forth. With that growth, there's a lot of development. There is a giant Post Falls RV campground area, a Cabela's, there's restaurants over here. To the north of the project is a residential community in Spokane County. To the south of the project, there's a Centennial Trail and I-90. So once again, this will be a single lane roundabout, and roundabouts are a proven mitigation measure by FHWA to reduce crashes by about 80% while improving mobility and safety. So I think this will help with some of the crashes we're experiencing out there that we will be monitoring. So this will improve traffic flow, reduce travel times, improve safety, create a separated pedestrian path to remove people from that high ADT area, give them a place to walk or bike that they don't have to compete with vehicles at all. So that should be a low stress facility for them. Improve stormwater infrastructure, and it provides transportation network redundancy when there's crashes on I-90 or it just gets backed up. You can see, from the ADT that this is a heavily used area. I just wanted to show you a little bit more context. So, you can see right here, it's way out on the state line, existing conditions. You can see some of the developments. There's a huge Walmart over here, just a lot of things going on both sides of the state line. And so hopefully this will help. With that, let me know if you have any questions.
Great, thank you, Jamie. I don't see any questions. But again, if we do receive any questions or comments, we'll certainly forward those on and include those, the information to the SRTC board.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to the city of Spokane, Kevin Piconso, and have some information to share with us.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Just sharing my screen here. Just a quick sound check and screen check. You guys seeing it?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, good evening. My name is Kevin Piconso. I am a principal engineer in our integrated capital management department within our public works division at the city of Spokane. We have, I think, 24 projects in this 2026 to 2029 TIP. Not going to go over all of those projects today, of course, but just selected a handful, 6 to 7 projects to highlight here today. Just jumping into it, first project here is our arterial PET hybrid beacon project. This project installs PET hybrid beacons at 4 locations throughout the city. Those 4 different locations are shown there along the bottom of the screen. This is a project that's heading towards construction here soon. Design is nearly complete. Planning on putting it out to bid here this fall for construction in 2026. About $2 million in grant funding through the Federal Highway Safety Improvement Program. Grant funded project is administered by WSDOT. Second project here is our Fish Lake Trail to Centennial Trail Connection project. Is really a series or phases of projects. Really focus on the phase 1 project here. The funding table to the upper right shows the funding for that phase 1. The map to the right, the kind of rectangles or boxes highlighting that are labeled TR2 and TR3, highlight the first phase of the work. And then not included on this screen, there's kind of a separate portion of the project over on Thorpe Road off of 195 for the Fish Lake Trail. If you're familiar with the trail in that area, it's elevated on former railroad embankment, a good 20 plus feet off the ground. This project will install a ramp down from that embankment trail down to Thorpe Road, provide access up and along Thorpe Road in both directions. So this, again, this first phase runs from the Linneke Trail to 5th Avenue Government Way. And then the second phase of the project, which we were recently just awarded grant funding for through SRTC. That phase of the work will continue the project from 5th Avenue and Government Way, winding down the hill. You can see all the switchbacks that it takes to wind down the hill and then across heading towards Sandifer Bridge to provide the connection to the Centennial Trail. In phase 1, we're in the midst of design. Right-of-way acquisition is starting. Very minor right-of-way acquisition, some corner takes at some properties for ADA ramps. Should be heading out to bid early 2026 and constructed in 26. And then phase 2, with that recently secured grant funding, we already had some prior dollars awarded for the design phase. The recent grant funded the construction. That'll allow us to continue through design here in 25 and 26, heading towards construction in 2027 and 2028. Next project is Millwood Trail project. This has been in our program for a while. It was funded through a variety of sources, a little bit through SRTC, and then the large chunk funded through the state's Move Ahead Washington program, noted there about $5.8 million. It's a trail that runs along the south side of the river from roughly just east of Green Street near SCC, running along the river. And then as it approaches Feltzfield, it deviates from the river along that red alignment shown there, and then heads over along Rudder Avenue. We're in the midst of the environmental work on this, given the proximity to the river. There's a lot of environmental hoops to jump through for that clearance. Also getting ready to start right-of-way acquisition. That design will continue through 2026. We're looking to put it out to bid by the end of 26 for 2027 construction. Next project is a Freya Palouse roundabout project. This project's really interesting given the unique geometry of the intersection and the unique roundabout that we're planning to construct here. Some folks are calling it a peanut about, given its unique shape. It's also a 5-legged, it will be a 5-legged roundabout. Today it's 4 legs, but there's a 5th Street, 51st Avenue. It's very close by. That'll be incorporated into the overall geometry and alignment. The funding table at the bottom is, worth noting, kind of highlights the challenge that it takes to put together some of these projects to get them fully funded. In this case, 6 different funding sources contributing to that total project cost of a little over $6 million. Design is just getting underway and will continue through 26. Some right-of-way acquisition in 26 and plan for 27 construction. Lake Top Bridge is another project that we just received grant funding for, which we're grateful for, just for the design phase of the project through SRTC. We'll be putting it out to an RFQ to hire a design consultant for the bridge design here in early 2026. This bridge is really vital to the region. It's really the only viable east-west alternative route to I-90. So in the case of emergency incidents on I-90 or need for closures, this is really the only critical or really only viable route of Sunset Highway or Sunset Boulevard that traverses across the Lake Top Bridge. The total project costs for this is $65 million. So the real focus of this initial design is really just to tee us up and put us in better position to pursue the grant dollars that will be needed to fund the construction phase of the project. So this first design effort will take us through 60% design and completion of the NEPA and environmental approval. Next project is Division BRT Active Transportation Project. It's also recently funded through the SRTC's call for projects. These are 4 different projects that were identified through the Division Connects study and that focused on the active transportation components through that Division BRT corridor to help or improve bike and pedestrian access to the transit facility. This suite of projects includes 4 primarily east-west routes on Central Avenue, Everett, Longfellow Avenue, and then Sharp to the south. It's a mix of improvements from protected bike lanes to multiple RRFB ped crossings and pedestrian crossing enhancements. And the final project, just want to highlight here, was also another recent grant award through the Safe Routes to School program. This is federal money in this particular Safe Routes grant. This project will install protected bike lanes along Assembly Street. We'll install a new traffic signal at the Assembly Wellesley intersection, and it's just adjacent to the new Flett Middle School opened a couple years ago. If you can see where my cursor is, just kind of to the northwest of that Assembly Wellesley intersection. These grants have a pretty quick turnaround time in terms of their expected delivery time frame. We just received notice of award over the summer, June, July timeframe. We're already launching into the planning effort for the project, moving into design in 26, bid it by the end of 26 for construction in 2027. So that's all of the projects I'm highlighting today. Happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, Kevin. I'm not seeing any questions or comments at this point in time. Really appreciate the good information on what the city of Spokane is doing. So next we'll move on to Shauna Harshman with Washington State Department of Transportation to talk about one of their exciting initiatives.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm going to share screen here. Is that showing up for everyone?
It is now, yes, thank you.
Perfect. So I'm taking a little bit of a different direction. I've loved hearing about all of the suite of projects from everyone, and it is a hard act to follow Kevin with that wonderful presentation. So I'm just going to talk for a few minutes about the Liberty Park Land Bridge. A couple of you may be familiar with this project, and this may be newer for others of you. And hopefully I can get the slides to advance. There we go. So in 10 slides here, we're going to briefly talk through the project history, location, the existing conditions on site, which many of you are aware of. They're in the I-90 corridor, the purpose and need for the project, who we're currently working with in terms of stakeholders and where we're anticipating growing that, the design parameters that we are aware of, funding streams for the planning and design, and then how we're going to be looking at that project phasing. A little bit of the history, just to refresh our memories here. In the late 1950s, early 60s, I-90 construction divided the East Central neighborhood in Spokane, displacing over 1,000 homes and really impacting the majority of the acreage of the Liberty Park area, which was an original Olmsted Brothers Park in the city. In 2016, Spokane was selected as the winner of the USDOT Every Place Counts Design Challenge, and this idea or concept of a land bridge or a lid emerged out of that work. In 2018, the USDOT released the report summarizing the experience and the lessons learned from Every Place Counts Design Challenge. And one of the images that I will share out here in a few moments is reflective of that and shows the initial concepts from community on a land bridge. In 2022, WSDOT applied for federal funding from the RAISE grant, Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity Program, to reconnect I-90 communities in Seattle and Spokane. And that was a collaborative effort with the city of Spokane. And when I was on the other side of the equation here, I was working for the city of Spokane and WSDOT on this grant application. And in 2023, we were successfully awarded a $4 million RAISE grant for planning and design of this land bridge. So what we're thinking is the project location is going to be the area along Interstate 90 that is adjacent to Liberty Park. During scoping and early conversations, we've been asked a number of questions about the old Liberty Park ruins and spaces underneath the Hamilton interchange. And there seems to be a lot of interest from agency partners within our own agency and from the community so far to understand if there's any ability to leverage some future improvements in this project area outside of the scope of the land bridge. So we're aware that those are interests. We'll see what the scope of the project will allow. So the design and footprint of the NSC, when that was scaled back several years ago, left that vacant swath that we now refer to as lease lands or potential NSC lease lands. From lands that we acquired for the larger roadway, and with the implementation of practical solutions and the reduction in that footprint, it did leave us with some available right-of-way in this area that has some interesting potential for a land bridge. So why a land bridge in this neighborhood? Well, we have hopes of positive impact in a few different areas. It is intended to improve safety by reducing and or eliminating frequency of conflicts between drivers and hopefully other road users. We hope to reduce vehicle mile travel with increased volumes of active transportation through addition of something other than that at-grade system. We'll connect in with the Benbur Trail and the Regional Trail Network, Children of the Sun Trail, and Centennial Trail over on the west end of the project near Liberty Park and Perry Street. And then we'll help with shielding neighborhood from traffic noise and vehicle emissions, since concept development, even for this project in the past year and a half, there's been some increased development interest over in that Perry neighborhood. And so this should help with shielding some of that traffic noise, as well as promoting economic mobility and equity for vulnerable populations that reside in this project area. There may also be some opportunity, especially along Second and Liberty, I believe it's Liberty Park, place there by the park, to provide more convenient access to bus stops, perhaps eliminating some transfers and improving transit connections. Right now, project stakeholders that have been involved in the scoping of this project are City of Spokane. Kevin was in initial SME meetings. We're working with neighborhood associations, the East Central Neighborhood Council, the East Sprague Business Association, and have reached out to the South Perry Business and Neighborhood Association. And then we're working with a number of community-based organizations in the project area, represented on the bottom there with their logos. And I anticipate we'll see this jumping up significantly. Now, that image that I talked about, Out of Every Place Counts Design Challenge from 2016, is what's on the screen right now. And I think that it just goes to illustrate a vision for what could be in this space. So our design parameters currently are that this is going to be a grade separated active transportation land bridge near Liberty Park there, that it will connect to the Benbur Trail and the Children of the Sun Trail. It is a design around zero carbon modes, and we'll have a special emphasis on pedestrian scale lighting and then crime prevention through environmental design, with intent to increase and expand that park-like environment that was lost to freeway construction. The intent is further to stay within the footprint of the existing right-of-way, with one exception. You'll see on the north side in the image that there is one lone blue house in the neighborhood, and we are going to entertain the option of looking at acquiring that right-of-way if the design requires that. I've already talked about the funding a little bit, but we had $4 million essentially in federal funding and $4 million in state funding. And that's broken out here by biennium, which is why you're seeing 2 million and 2 million for the current 25 to 27 biennium. And then we're looking at this in a couple of phases. We had hoped to be done with our scoping phase currently, but we're looking at some back and forth negotiations on compaction of some of the pre-design work. So we intend to wrap that up within the next couple of weeks. And then phase 1 is planning and pre-design, which will get us to our 30% design concept, where we'll have our preferred alignment and designs, and that is scheduled to take about the next 18 months. And then we'll have 12 to 18 months for the final design, getting us all the way up to 100% design. And the only caveat that might be of interest to folks here is that as we're into that 18-month planning and pre-design, once we're at about 15%, we should have dialed in pretty closely what our preferred alignment will be. And at that point, we'll start looking for construction dollars. So we don't plan to just do planning and design on this one. We plan to overlap and start looking for the funding. Just a high-level overview of where we're at and how this project is shaping up.
Great, thank you, Shauna. I'm not seeing any questions or comments at this point in time. But again, I really appreciate all of your staff time and attending today's public meeting. That concludes the presentations for the public meeting. I'll bring my contact information back up just for anyone that joins the meeting in the next few minutes. You are advertised to go until 5:30. So you're welcome to stick around, or you're more than welcome to go ahead and leave the meeting. And again, if we receive any questions or comments, I'll make sure and forward those to you. But again, thanks again for taking time so late in your workday to provide some great information to the public. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Ryan.
It's now 5:30. That concludes the public meeting for the 2026 through 2029 Transportation Improvement Program. Thank you.